Keith here from pickinglessons.com, cross-picking on the guitar. We have this great melody, Banks of the Ohio, that we'll use as an example, and we have some really beginner-friendly cross-picking patterns within the arrangement. There are some really beginner-friendly bluegrass licks featured in the arrangement too, which is a nice little bonus. But really, we're focusing on learning what this cross-picking is and what that's all about. In a moment, we're going to break down the first 4 measures of the arrangement here, and we'll have a look at an exercise as well, just to get us going in what is the cross-picking structure that we're going to be working through. If you head to pickinglessons.com, you can grab the tablature for the complete lesson and arrangement there. In the members section, we'll break it all down with some more video lessons there and some play along and backing tracks once you get to know it as well. Now, cross-picking. What is cross-picking? Basically, cross-picking is where we're repeating notes somewhat within a chord. And that's how we're approaching it in this lesson. So we're going to be featuring notes, for example, in a triad form. So the G triad we have there, the D, the G, and the B strings. And we could do something like this, which features in the arrangement we've got here of Banks of the Ohio. So we're just repeating those notes in a nice repetitive pattern, kind of like a banjo roll. And we're going to give them names based on those banjo roll movements, a backward roll and a forward roll and so on. And really, we're focusing heavily on those 2 variations, so a backward and a forward roll. Before we get started into the tune itself, let's have a look at this exercise that will set us up for the backward roll. And we are going to be featuring these 3 notes I just mentioned. So we're going to start on the B of the triad. We're going to start there, we're going to play a quarter note first, and then we're going to reverse or backward roll through those 3 strings. So the first measure of this exercise gives us 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Let's try that once more. Ready? And 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So there are those 3 strings. What is important is how we're going to approach it in the right hand. So the right hand, we're going to follow our picking structure, the rhythmic structure as we would normally follow in a fiddle tune. So what we're going to do is down on the downbeat and then up on the offbeat. So a regular picking structure throughout this, even though we're changing and crossing over strings with this rolling movement. So the picking would be down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah, so we're still following our rhythm structure we would normally find in our quarter notes and 1/8 notes. Continuing on the second half of this exercise, we're still playing this backward roll. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Let's put the 2 bars together. So quarter note to kick it off on the B and then rolling backward through the triad. So ready, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Let's try that again, picking wise. Ready, and down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So there is the backward roll style version of the cross-picking pattern. Now that features heavily in the first half of the Banks of the Ohio arrangement we've just listened to at the beginning of this video. The second half focuses more on the forward roll. So the first 4 bars, just to have a bit of a look at what we've got here. So the backward roll that we just worked on essentially is featuring through these first 4 bars. Now the chords we're playing over for a start with the G and the D. We've got the melody in there as well. So we have some melody movement. And there's actually a fair bit of space through the melody in this tune. So when we have that space, we're going to throw in some cross-picking. So let's just break it down and we'll have a chat as we go through. The pickup notes, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Watch the rhythm there, starts on an upstroke. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Then the 3 downstrokes. Now, into the first measure where our melody, so that was a pickup. The melody starts now. And the melody note is the B. So we're going to slide into the B and then pick the open B, which really reinforces it. So we're going to slide up on the downstroke and then downstroke on the open B before we get into the cross picking. So 1 and 2. Once we hit the open string, now we're going to play the backward roll. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 to the next bar. Let's try that a couple of times from the slide. Ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. We'll come back and put all this together as we go through, but let's just move on for a moment. Second measure along, a little bit of cross picking, but in a different way. 1, 2 and 3, 4. So it's more of a passing kind of cross picking rather than a complete repeating pattern. 1, 2 and 3, 4. First fret sounds odd at the moment, but it's a passing note. It's a blue note going to get us up to the A for the next chord in a moment. It'll make sense when you hear it. Let's play through what we've done so far from the pickup note. We'll take it rather slow. So from that beginning there, we do start on the 1 and on the offbeat. So 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, downstrokes into the A there. You can use that first finger on the first fret and the second fret. That'll set us up for the next chord. Now let's move on to this next chord, the D. Our D position here, we're going to be playing out of this shape here. So we've got the A, we've got the D, we're going to use the open D as well. Once we hit the A melody note on beat 1, backward roll. Measure 3 to the first beat of measure 4. Ready, and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Just a reminder for the picking, again following our rhythmic structure, we have down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down to the first beat there in measure 4. Still hold this chord just for measure 4. So once we play that D, 1, 2 and 3, 4, yeah, and that 4th fret gets us into the next melody note in the next measure. So the 2 bars of D before we try it all together. So 2 bars of D, ready, and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. So notice we're just holding that chord there. We're cross picking through the chord. The cross picking pattern we're using so far has been that backward roll style of pattern. Let's have a play through these 4 bars from the pickup notes just to piece together what we have so far. From the top, remembering that the first note is on the offbeat. So 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1. And we'll move on to the next part of that in the next lesson. Now, you can hear the melody through there. The melody is quite simple, really. Yeah, so the melody doesn't do much, and that's why this is kind of nice with the cross-picking. We're filling in some of that space we have through the melody. Get familiar with, at the moment, the backward roll, and get familiar with how we're playing that around the melody in these first 4 bars for the break. Make sure that you're picking for the right hand is consistent from the beginning, yeah? So make sure you've been really focusing on the right hand, making sure the structure and the movement for the right hand picking strokes is following, I would say, the suggestions I've given you. There are some variations, but if you haven't played any cross-picking before, I would suggest working with this structure to begin with, then you can perhaps experiment later on. Now, pickinglessons.com, jump over there, you can grab the tablature. So that's the whole arrangement and some exercises for cross-picking. In the member section there, we will break down the remainder of the break in a lesson and have a look at the remaining cross-picking exercises as well. So pickinglessons.com, I'll see you there.